of your choice. You go on the right of your screen, you'll see motion, an icon there where you can choose your Chris and Ronald, there's a cross line. Thank you. You'll see an icon where you can choose your language of your preference. It's either you choose English if you prefer to listen to the proceedings in English, or you choose French and Portuguese. And then you can mute the other language if the original language if you prefer. Apologies for that. Apologies for that. It doesn't seem like the language. Okay, there we go. We have it now. I was not finding it on my side. Thank you very much. As I said, today we are launching the SADC model law on gender-based violence. This is the consultations. I see we are still having a lot of people joining in, and we are having a lot of cross lines. Apologies for that. I'm not sure what happened. I seem to have been muted. There we go. Good morning, honorable members and colleagues. Welcome to the launch of the SADC-PF model law on gender-based violence. In today's launch, we have a very interesting program with various speakers that are going to be doing the speaking. Seeing that we've already lost track of time, let me call upon our first speaker who's going to do our opening and introductions. That is Honorable Tsepang Tita Musena, a member of the SADC Parliamentary Forum from Lesotho. May Tsepang, you can take the stage, please.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I greet you all. Allow me to pass my respects to the Right Honorable Speaker, Catherine Gotari Hara, Honorable Speakers here present, Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus Chairperson, Honorable Anne-Marie Mbilambangu, Honorable Members here present, the SADC Parliamentary Forum Secretary General, Ms. Boyemo Sekgoma, staff of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, the SADC Model Law on Gender-Based Violence Technical Working Group, the SADC Model Law on Gender-Based Violence Legislative Drafter, Ms. Eva Jala, Gender-Based Violence Community Advocate and Gender-Based Violence Survivor, Caroline Peters, Executive Director of the Southern Africa HIV and AIDS Information Dissemination Service, Ms. Ruze Ektesadi, distinguished cooperating and development partners, distinguished invited observers and guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, honorable speakers, honorable members, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor and privilege for me to welcome you all to this landmark event as the Southern Africa Development Community Parliamentary Forum, SADC-PF as we shortly call it, as it launches the stakeholder consultation process for the development of a model law on gender-based violence. SADC Parliamentary Forum's Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus sponsored a motion to develop a model law on gender-based violence to be used by SADC member states at the SADC Parliamentary Forum's Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus during the forum's 44th plenary assembly session that was held from the 26th to the 10th of December 2018. The envisaged model law was expected to prevent, address, and eradicate all forms of gender-based violence in SADC member states. A resolution was therefore successfully passed, and it is against this backdrop that we are gathered here to launch the SADC Parliamentary Forum's stakeholder consultation process. We're extremely honored to have Honorable Anne-Marie Mbilambangu, the Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus Chairperson, to deliver our welcome remarks. We are further honored to have the Right Honorable Speaker, Catherine Gotani-Hara from Malawi, as our keynote speaker today. We are very privileged to have a gender-based violence community advocate and gender-based violence survivor amongst us, Caroline Peters. We are honored to have our legislative drafter, Eva Jala, with us on this very special occasion. We're further honored to have the Executive Director of the Southern Africa HIV and AIDS Information Dissemination Service, Ms. Rwbc to deliver our closing remarks. I wish, therefore, to recognize the presence of the key stakeholders for the development of the model law as well. This include state actors, non-state actors, as well as technical and strategic partners. Amongst our state actors from all the SADC member states, we have amongst us representatives of the executive arm of the state, including state legislative drafters, policy makers, law enforcement officers, law enforcement officials, prosecutors, state legislative drafters, ministries responsible for gender and women's affairs, ministries responsible for access to justice, gender focal persons, traditional leaders, national institutions governing traditional leaders as well, representatives of the judiciary, including judicial services commissions, the magistrates, our judges, traditional court officials, members of parliament of SADC member states, parliamentary technocrats, parliamentary caucuses and portfolio committees on gender, women affairs, and human rights, other state affiliated actors. We have gender institutions, research institutions, think tanks, which is our academia, relevant independent state bodies, government-led shelter, and one-stop centers, call centers, as well as counseling facilities. Among our non-state actors, we have independent commissions, national human rights institutions, survivors of gender-based violence, and persons that are particularly vulnerable to gender-based violence. We have service providers for survivors of gender-based violence. We have entities that represent or are advocates for rights of survivors of gender-based violence and rights holders. Amongst our technical and strategic partners, we are pleased to include them in the list. I thank you. Muito obrigado. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Honorable Tsita Musena, for those introductions and welcoming words. I've just been told that the keynote address is not longer going to be done by the Speaker of Malawi, the Right Honorable Hara, but it will now be done by the Deputy Speaker, also from Malawi, Honorable Deputy Speaker Aisha Adams. Please note that change in the program. We now move to the actual welcoming remarks that are going to be done by the Rwbc Chairperson, Honorable Anne-Marie Mbilambangu. Is she on the floor? Is she on the platform so that she can take over?
Yeah, DRC has been having technical problems, but Ronald, kindly confirm if they've been able to join. And in the interim, Rwbc, through you, kindly encourage participants to register themselves on the chat group by just indicating who they are and the organization they come from.
Thank you very much, SG. That was our SG, Mebuemos Homa, who's the Secretary General of the SADC Parliamentary Forum. We request all the participants on the platform to kindly register themselves on the chat box with a message of introduction, who you are and which organization you represent, so that we can all be able to take each other's information there and have further engagements going forward in terms of the stakeholder that might be interested in the work that we all do. Please share those and the information that we have. And also for those of you who are going to be going to social media in terms of the program of today, please visit the SADC-PF Twitter account, which is SADC@SADC-PF, and please retweet our tweets there, and also like our Facebook page. And also we encourage you to tag us on the tweets that you're going to make to be posting today. And also we have a cross line there, Ronald. And also I request that we please use the hashtag end violence, and the other one is hashtag SADC gender-based violence model law for this platform. So please do that and continue tweeting and making sure that people know about this event and this very important launch. In the absence of the we seem to have a cross line there, Ronald. Can you please assist?
Noted.
Thank you. In the absence of the chairperson to do the welcoming remarks, should we move to the community advocate for gender-based violence?
Sorry, they are currently logging in. They should be logged in.
Are they logging in?
Yes.
So in the 3 minutes while we wait, should we go to the gender-based violence advocate, or should we wait for 3 minutes before? I'll be guided by you, SG.
Thank you, Rwbc. We may seek the participants' indulgence to allow GLC to just log in, because it looks like we are seeing the wheel turning under their name. So I believe they'll be logged in a few seconds. If in a minute they haven't logged in, then we may proceed to our community advocate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, SG, for that guidance. Maybe let me check on our platform to see if we can make some acknowledgements of the people who have joined us. I see we have members from the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Adwa Kufo. Welcome, sir. The Secretary General for the Council of Religions from Mauritius, you are welcome. We have an MP from Namibia, Paula Cooper. Welcome, ma'am. I see Macaroline Peters has also joined us. She'll be speaking in a minute. Thank you very much, ma'am. We have Memory Kachambwa, the director from FEMET. Thank you for joining us. We have Felicita Hikuwama, the director of the AIDS and Rights Alliance for Southern Africa. Thank you very much, ma'am. Laura Buffoni from the UNHR Southern Africa Bureau. Welcome. As introduced, we have Eva Jala, who's the drafter. Welcome, Madam Jala. I'm going through the list while we wait. Please don't forget to tweet about this event, SADC model law on gender-based violence. And the hashtag that we can use on Twitter is end gender-based violence, end GBV. And then the other one is hashtag SADC gender-based violence model law. Those are the two hashtags that we are using for this session for today, for this campaign actually, because it's a campaign that's going to be happening, rolling out as we are launching the roadmap of that launch today, of the consultation, sorry. We are launching the roadmap of the consultations with the various stakeholders in the gender-based violence. Ronald, are we winning?
Indeed, sir.
How much more time do you need? 1 more minute. Please bear with us, honorable members and participants, as we wait for our I'm told that the Rwbc chairperson have joined. Is she ready to take the floor?
Oh, okay. Rwbc, the chair of the Rwbc committee is in the meeting.
Is she in the meeting? Welcome, Chair, to the meeting. Let me take this opportunity to welcome the chairperson of the Rwbc, which is the Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus of the SADC Parliamentary Forum, Honorable Anne-Marie Mbilambangu. May you kindly take the floor, ma'am. Please unmute, Chair, and take the floor.
Okay. Merci beaucoup pour la parole. Avant toute chose, je voudrais saluer la présence de tout le monde à la réunion d'aujourd'hui. Nous avions eu un petit souci technique, mais ça vient d'être réglé. Ceci dit, je m'en vais directement prononcer les discours d'ouverture de la séance d'aujourd'hui. Excellence, Monsieur le vice-président du Malawi, qui représente le président, Madame la secrétaire générale du Forum parlementaire de la SADC, Madame Bohémo Ségoma, honorables membres ici présents, honorable président de groupe ici présent, honorable Tepanga Tita Mosena, honorable présidente Catherine Gotani Ara, défenseur communautaire et survivante de violences basées sur le genre, Madame Caroline Peter. Distingués partenaires de coopération et de développement, distingués observateurs et invités des marques, mesdames et messieurs, je me sens profondément honorée et rempli d'un grand sentiment de privilège de pouvoir souhaiter la bienvenue à cet événement marquant alors que le Forum parlementaire de la communauté de développement de l'Afrique australe lance le processus de consultation des parties prenantes pour l'élaboration d'une loi type sur la violence basée sur le genre. En tant que présidente du caucus parlementaire régional des femmes de la SADC, je suis très heureuse de vous voir si nombreux à nous rejoindre aujourd'hui pour lancer ce processus crucial qui mènera à la finalisation du plan d'action sur la manière dont, en tant que parlementaire, membre du Forum de la SADC, et en particulier les caucus de femmes de la région, nous promulguerons des lois qui s'attaqueront au fléau de la violence basée sur le genre. La résolution visant à élaborer la loi type de la SADC sur les violences basées sur le genre a émané de la 44e session de l'Assemblée plénière du Forum parlementaire de la SADC qui s'est tenue à Maputo, au Mozambique, en 2018, où, en tant que caucus régional des femmes parlementaires de la SADC, nous avons parrainé une motion appelant à l'élaboration d'une loi type sur les violences basées sur le genre qui sera utilisée par les États membres de la SADC pour prévenir, traiter et éradiquer toutes les formes de violence basées sur le genre. La 44e Assemblée plénière a adopté à l'unanimité la motion et les parties prenantes travaillant dans l'espace d'éradication de la violence basée sur le genre ont atteint un consensus pour procéder à l'élaboration d'une loi type de la SADC basée sur le genre. L'élaboration de la loi type de la SADC sur les violences basées sur le genre complète diverses initiatives en cours qui ont été entreprises par la région pour éliminer les violences basées sur le genre. Malgré l'existence de ces initiatives, la violence basée sur le genre reste endémique dans les États membres de la SADC et continue à être une menace pour la paix, la sécurité et la réalisation de nos objectifs globaux de développement. Les processus de consultation que nous lançons aujourd'hui se déroulera virtuellement au cours de ce mois d'août et en septembre. Nous ciblerons les acteurs étatiques et non étatiques de la région de la SADC, ainsi que les partenaires techniques et stratégiques, notamment avocats de la SADC, commissaires aux droits de l'homme, avocats, ARASA, juges, juristes et officiers de justice, ministères et départements de la SADC en charge du genre, secteur de la police, SARPECO, femmes parlementaires, président des comités parlementaires concernés, dont les genres, droits de l'enfant, affaires juridiques, police et justice, chefs religieux et traditionnels, rédacteurs juridiques des ministères de la Justice et des parlements des États membres de la SADC, Assemblée parlementaire mixte régionale des femmes et toutes les communautés permanentes du Forum parlementaire de la SADC, agences de l'ONU, donataires et partenaires du développement, société civile. Nous utiliserons de méthodologies participatives et inclusives pour mener à bien les consultations afin de nous assurer que personne n'est laissé de côté. En tant que caucus parlementaire régional des femmes de la SADC, nous utiliserons tous les moyens à notre disposition pour plaider en faveur de l'amélioration des conditions sociales et économiques de toutes les femmes de la région, car nous pensons qu'elles sont les plus touchées par toute forme de violence basée sur le genre. Notre objectif est de faire en sorte que toutes les personnes, en particulier les femmes de la région, indépendamment de leur couleur ou de leur croyance, aient la possibilité de réaliser leur plein potentiel sans être entravées par les facteurs défavorables de la violence basée sur le genre. Je vous souhaite les succès et les engagements fructueux lors de votre participation à ces consultations. J'ai dit et je vous remercie.
That was the chairperson of the Rwbc, Honorable Anna Marie Bilambangu. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, for the those welcoming remarks. We now move to the community advocate, May Caroline Peters, who's going to talk to us on her experience in working in the gender-based violence affected communities. Madam Caroline Peters, please take over.
Thank you, Program Director. Good morning, everybody, and good morning, all honorable guests. Everybody on this platform, there's too many to mention by name, but thank you to ma'am that just spoke ahead of me. Thank you for the welcome. So my name is Caroline Peters. I live and I work in a community in Cape Town in South Africa, where we all know, and the community I serve is on the Cape Flats. So we know the Cape Flats historically was, if you look at the history of the Cape Flats, we were removed from District 6 where forced removals took place in South Africa. So we were the community that came, that arose out of that. And I often say that we were moved here or removed from an area with the apartheid era, and everything happening now, we can directly link to the forced removals of the time if we look at the aggression, the anger, and that. And so gender-based violence affects, and I know I'm speaking from my experience on the Cape Flats, but I know that this is a global pandemic, but I will stick to what I know in my community. So I myself has been a survivor of a brutal gang rape and my friend murdered at the age of 16. And this set, when this happened to me at the age of 16, I did not realize that that would be the catalyst of why I became a human rights defender, a defender for women and young women especially, that still, I mean, if I look at the figures today, it's on the increase, it's on the rise. Things have not changed for women on the Cape Flats. Things have not changed for the young woman that is gang raped. So that happened to me before I turned 16, 3 months before my 16th birthday. And I want to say to SADC, thank you for this laws, for the model laws. This was not around when this happened to me, when this happened to me, but we have made lots of progress on laws and legislation. However, the implementation of these plans remains important. And for us in South Africa, we've got the best Domestic Violence Act, we've got the Sexual Offences Bill, we've got the Trafficking in Persons Bill, and we have got all these bills and legislation. However, the implementation is slow. Even for the repercussions right now, during August month, we we celebrate Women's Month in South Africa. But on the 1st of August, and it seems like when August month happened, everybody knows August month, we're celebrating women. But as a woman working in the sector, it's very hard to celebrate Women's Month when on the 1st of August, we see a 93-year-old grandmother brutally raped and sodomized and murdered by a 25-year-old suspect. And the accused in this matter is not a stranger. It is a family member, a step family member to this grandmother. We have seen last weekend, we've seen Sipokazi Gobili, the same thing happened there. The perpetrator was known to her, so intimate family members. We see intimate partner violence on the increase. We know that with lockdown, we know that women was locked in with their perpetrators, and we see the results now. Just yesterday, there was a publication that a total of 23,226 teenage pregnancies was reported in the Gauteng by the Gauteng Department of Health. Of these, between the ages of 10 and 14 that gave birth was 934 girls, which means statutory rape occurred. And if we say we were in a lockdown due to COVID, how did this happen? So the perpetrator is known to the child, which means, again, so I want to thank SADC, and I know I don't have much time, but I also want to say thank you for this model law and all the best with the implementation of it. And for us as community advocates and working on the ground, working with women in the communities, the law is there. And then there's us here. And it's almost the divide there. How do we make sure that this model law really affects and is implemented so as the women on the ground that we see the changes because of this law? I mean, I can tell you many anecdotal stories of what is happening in communities, but this is just the two, the grandmother's murder, and just now during femicide, the teenage pregnancies. Children were locked up. I mean, we were locked in during COVID. We were in lockdown. How did this happen that so many thousands of young girls are now pregnant, which means perpetrators is known to the family? I mean, we have the most, as South Africa, we called by Interpol the rape capital of the world. Every 25 seconds. And I often say, when there's women in a room, I mean, just figures recently says that 51%, so every second women have experienced abuse. We have seen the increase of abuse. So thank you, SADC, for this opportunity. I know the time is limited, and thank you. Thank you, Program Director.
That was Caroline Peters, a member of the community, a community advocate who's dealing with the matters of gender-based violence, giving us a perspective from her side there. Thank you very much for that contribution, ma'am. We now move to our keynote address, which is going to be done by the Honorable Deputy Speaker of the Parliament of Malawi, Honorable Aisha Adams. Please take the floor, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lapotoa. Your Excellency, honorable speakers and honorable members here present, all key stakeholders and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Let me mention that I am here on behalf of the Right Honorable Speaker of Malawi, Catherine Gotan-Hara, who regrets for not being with you today due to issues beyond her control. But she is very lucky that she has a younger sister in the office. So here I am. It is with great honor and pleasure that I address you today as the Southern African Development Community Parliamentary Forum, SADC-PF, launched launches the stakeholder consultation process for the development of a model law on gender-based violence. The proposal to develop a regional model law on gender-based violence emanated from the SADC-PF Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus during the Forum's 44 Plenary Assemblies session held in Maputo, Mozambique, from 26th November to 10 December 2018. The Rwbc sponsored a motion to develop a model law on gender-based violence to be utilized by SADC member states to prevent, address, and eradicate these forms of violence. The motion was unanimously adopted. Consensus was also reached by stakeholders working in this area to proceed with the development of SADC model law on gender-based violence. This motion was adopted in recognition of the endemic nature of GBV, its multiple dimension effects, and its devastating impact on the lives of innocent women, men, and its boys and girls in the SADC region. GBV is not only a problem in the private sphere, it continues to be a threat to human security, peace, and development, and to the achievement of national, regional, continental, and global development goals. GBV has drastic social and economic consequences at the national level, and it remains amongst the most severe and widespread human rights violations in Southern Africa. Whilst one in two women have experienced GBV at some point in their lives, at the global level, some countries in the SADC region have higher instances of GBV. In addition, recent cases that come to the fore include the death of 14-year-old Memory Machaya, who died during childbirth at an apostolic church gathering in Morange, Zimbabwe, on the 15th of July, 2021. She had been forced out of school and into marriage, and was secretly buried by the church authorities. On the 8th of June 2021, 28-year-old Shegofatso Pule was found stabbed and hung on a tree in Johannesburg, South Africa. She was 8 months pregnant and had been missing for 4 days. In Mozambique, a health worker was killed and being raped while on the way back to her home. She waited too long for transport and ended up arriving very late near her home when she was sexually assaulted, robbed, and killed. The emergence of COVID-19 has exposed the structural discrimination and inequalities faced by women and girls and their marginal position in society. Throughout the region, reports of abuse such as intimate partner violence, sexual harassment, and exploitation of children have increased by 20%. That's include online abuse. In Tanzania, there are emerging new harmful practices due to COVID-19. There has been an increase in marital rape in Swaziland, and GBV has cost the South African government 1.7 billion rands. SADC has adopted various regional frameworks and tools to comprehensively tackle GBV in a coordinated manner. The revised Regional Indicative Strategic Development Plan 2015 to 2020 and the Strategic Indicative Plan of the Organ on Politics defense and security cooperation, recognize the prevention and reduction of GBV as a catalyst for attaining serene peace and security conducive environment. The revised SADC protocol on gender and development clearly identifies GBV as an area of concern and has proposed several approaches to be adopted by SADC member states for the empowerment of women as an approach to eliminate GBV and achieve gender equality and equity. The SADC gender policy objective on GBV speak to the need of member states to promote an environment of zero tolerance to gender-based violence at all levels in order to provide a secure region where women, men, girls, and boys are safe and free to equitably contribute to and benefit from the region's development. In 2018, a regional strategy and framework of action for addressing gender-based violence was developed to facilitate the implementation and monitoring the target of reducing GBV incidences by half by 2030. Also in 2018, the SADC gender-based violence strategy and its framework of action 2018-2030 was approved by the SADC ministers responsible for gender equality and women's affairs. Some of the key tools developed include the regional sexual and gender-based violence training guidelines and the regional guideline on developing GBV standards, operating procedures, and referral mechanisms. This SADC faces different challenges in the responsive to GBV. Key amongst these on GBV and inadequate gender disaggregated statistics. It is envisaged that the SADC-PF model law on GBV shall guide SADC member states in the ratification, domestication, and implementation of relevant international and regional principles, guidelines, and obligations that inform GBV prevention and response interventions at member states. Your Excellency and distinguished delegates, I call on you to use this model law as a yardstick to measure your domestic laws and to develop, enact, and reform as may be relevant to ensure that the SADC region meets its international, continental, and regional commitments. With these remarks, I declare the SADC model law on gender-based violence stakeholder consultations launched. I thank you all. Muito obrigado. Merci beaucoup. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker, for that message. We thank you very much, and as you presented it on behalf of the Honorable Speaker from Malawi there. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to the presentation of the actual roadmap. I would request my colleagues, Ronald, to please share the roadmap on the screen and give an opportunity to my colleague as well, Sally Ngube, to go through the roadmap for us so that we can see where we are going with the program that we are launching today. There's still an opportunity for the various stakeholders that are not included on this roadmap to get in touch with the SADC-PF so that they can be included in the consultations. But I'll let my colleague, Sally Ngube, speak to you about the roadmap. Madam Rwbc, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Modise. Honorable members here present, Madam SG, all protocol observed. So the SADC Model Law Consultation Roadmap is as follows. Ronald, kindly assist. So the 30th of August saw the SADC Model Law Consultations with the SADC ministries and departments of gender. Can we go up? It has jumped down. Up again. So the roadmap started with the 6th of August, 2021, where there was the consultation with the media to sensitize the media on the SADC model law on GBV. And then on the 16th of August, there was a consultation with SADC, the consultations with the SADC Lawyers Association. The roadmap further come today that is where we are at, where there is the official launch for the roadmap for the stakeholder consultations for the SADC model law on gender-based violence. Coming up this week on the 20th of August is also the consultations with the SADC human rights commissioners and ombudsmen. Next. The roadmap moves to the 24th of August 2021, where there shall be a civil society consultation process being led by ARASA. Moving on, the 25th of August 2021, there will be a consultation process with judges, jurists, and judicial officers. Next. On the 30th of August 2021, the consultation process will then proceed to engage with the SADC ministries and departments of gender to consult with SADC ministries and departments for gender and get their input. Same again, there will be also a consultation with the police sector and SAPCO for the SADC region. That will be the roadmap for the month of August. We now proceed to the month of September. So what have been scheduled is on the 2nd of September, there will be a consultation for the chairperson of relevant parliamentary committees at national level, gender, children's rights, legal affairs, police, and justice. And this is aimed at consulting the chairpersons of relevant parliament portfolio committees to get their input. And on 9 September, the consultation shall proceed to engage with the religious and traditional leaders in their diversity to consult with religious and traditional leaders and get their input on the SADC model law on gender-based violence. Next, Ronald. We then proceed to the 13th of September, 2021, where the consultation process will be convened with the legal drafters from Ministry of Justice and parliaments of SADC member states. And on the 16th of September 2021, SADC-PF will convene a validation meeting on the joint sitting of the Regional Women Parliamentary Caucus and SADC-PF standing committees. Then we proceed to the 21st of September 2021, where SADC-PF will also convene a consultation on the SADC model law on GBV with UN agencies, donors, and development partners to get also their input. And on the 30th of September, there will be a consultation meeting with the regional parliaments, ECOWAS Parliament, and the Pan-African Parliament as well, so that there is a platform to consult with the regional continental parliaments and also get their input. Ronald? So that brings us to the end of the roadmap for now, and as what have been extended by SADC-PF, if there are other stakeholders, so that the consultation process reaches to the broader citizens of SADC member states, they are invited to send requests. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Modise.
Thank you very much, Madam Sally. That was Madam Sally leader who has been contracted to lead the program in terms of the consultations with the various stakeholders. As indicated, we are requesting all the relevant stakeholders that have not been included in the program as it stands to please get in touch with the SADC-PF so that we can schedule additional consultations with you, so that we don't want to leave anyone outside of this consultation process. The model law, once it is approved, it has to be watertight with no loopholes, having reached all avenues where the ugly scourge of gender-based violence sort of rears its head. So we are encouraged to please participate and get in touch and share your views and comments with the SADC-PF as we roll out the roadmap and the consultations. I now move over to the final item on the program. I see that we did better than we had anticipated in terms of the time. We were scheduled to finish around 12 o'clock, but we seem to have rushed our program, and we are about to get to the closing remarks. Now move over to the closing remarks. SG, maybe before we get to the closing remarks, should I get some guidance from you in terms of seeing that we have enough time? Should we open it up, or should we go to the closing remarks and leave it at that?
You may proceed to get input, Rwbc, as you please. Sure. Questions, clarity, yeah, or any statements of solidarity, if any, or dissenting views. And the drafter is also on board. She may wish to say something off the cuff. Thank you.
Maybe before we grant everyone else to make messages of solidarity, maybe we should call on the drafter to just say a few words in terms of the key areas of the model law draft, so that when we get input, at least honorable members and the participants have some idea of what we are talking about. Madam Jala,
why don't you get input? She may have room to process some of the input and assist us. Apologies, thank you.
No, as guided, SG. Can we get messages of support, messages of solidarity, or any comment from anyone on the floor who has a burning desire to share or speak to us? The floor is open. Please remember, as indicated, you can communicate with the SADC-PF. If you want to get in touch with us on Twitter, the Twitter handle of the SADC-PF is @SADC-PF. It's as straightforward as that. You can get in touch with us there, or you can get in touch with the SADC-PF on the, let me find the correct email address so that I don't give you an incorrect one. What happened to my documents? It's for members of the media, seeing that I'm the media officer of the SADC-PF. If you are a media specialist or a journalist who has joined us today, then you need to get in touch with us as the communications department. The email address that you can use is media@sadcpf.org. That's the email address that you can get in touch with us. Maybe we can channel the various communications and requests through that email address, and then I'll be able to forward them to the relevant authorities within the organization to assist you with the request. We are available also on social media platforms, that is your Facebook, with SADC-PF as well on Facebook. We also have a YouTube account. We are also registered as the Southern African Development Community Parliamentary Forum, which is the SADC-PF. You can find us there. I'm biding time so that we can see if there are any hands that are coming up. I see the first hand is that of the Honorable Tsepang Sita Musena. Honorable Musina, take the floor, please.
Thank you very much, Program Director. I simply wish to congratulate and commend the SADC Parliamentary Forum for this journey that they are taking everyone through. The fact that the stakeholder consultations, which started earlier, is provided by the roadmap, and the fact that now we are also engaging more and more people in the consultations, says we are going to have a product that's supposed to respond to our challenge. As it's been said, gender-based violence threatens peace, and all of us, we need peace in our region. So SADC-PF is doing a very commendable work, and I just hope from the presentations that have just been made now, the messaging that we're getting is that gender-based violence is still rife. Gender-based violence, we're still having a challenge. Much as we can have laws, we still have a problem of actually making sure that those laws work for our citizens. And my hope is that the stakeholders that are, given the mandate to ensure that citizens find themselves in safe spaces, they will engage robustly and as honestly as possible. The leaders, the judiciary, everybody that's involved, they will help guide the product to ensure that it yields results, and it shouldn't just be something that we have all been busy with. But ultimately, years from now, we still find ourselves being challenged with gender-based violence. I simply wish to present these remarks. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Musina. The email address, the correct one that you stakeholders can send the information to is gbv@sadcpf.org. gbv@sadcpf.org. That's the correct email address where you can get in touch with the colleagues who are facilitating the consultations if you want to make input. I'm looking for more hands. I see there's a hand from Amitrait Saha. Please take the floor, ma'am, and then followed by Mary Jean Gulamali, in that order. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Excellencies, the Secretary General, SADC Parliamentary Forum, and all parliamentarians from the countries of SADC, all protocols observed. It is my pleasure as UNDP to extend, as always, solidarity with the SADC Parliamentary Forum and the Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus, and to provide relevant technical support in the ways forward for domestication of this new gender-based violence model law, and provide whatever technical support that is required in going forward. We would also wish to convey our support to all the parliaments in the region who wish to take on domestication of this law, and we can help along with other UN agencies, our partner agencies and agencies in the country. And finally, we would therefore entreat that UNDP is part of not only the UN consultations, but we would also seek to be sitting in as observers, if possible, with some of the other consultations on the roadmap that was discussed in the roadmaps. I congratulate the SADC Parliamentary Forum and all the all the countries of the SADC on this great venture, and I thank you. Over.
Thank you very much, sir. We now move over to Ms. Mary Gulamali, and who will be followed by N. Lenado.
Bonjour à tous. Madame la secrétaire générale de la SADC, vous, membres de la SADC, vous tous présents ici à notre réunion d'aujourd'hui. C'est juste que je voulais savoir seulement par rapport à la loi de Rwbc, parce qu'on a déjà voté ici à Madagascar en 2019. Et je me pose des questions seulement que comment on va appliquer la loi, parce que là, maintenant, on va sortir de la loi type SADC. Et là, on a déjà voté aussi notre loi à l'Assemblée nationale en 2019. Comment appliquer ça? Comment voir les deux lois en même temps. C'est quoi qu'on doit appliquer par rapport à ça? Merci.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Let me give over to Anne Leonardo.
I would like to thank the SADC Parliamentary Forum for inviting the East African Legislative Assembly to join you in the launch of the model law on gender-based violence. I really appreciate the process you have taken, and I've seen a lot in common. Whether it's SADC or the East African community, we share a lot in common, and we have similar challenges and problems. And in fact, gender-based violence is rampant as well, and it has very devastating effect on women, and that also translates into peace and security and development as well. With this, I would like to appreciate the invitation, and I would look forward to participating in the consultations you are going to make in September. And I don't know whether it's going to be in Arusha or whether it's going to be in other places, but we certainly would learn a lot, because from this, we can also begin looking at similar issues related to gender-based violence, because we don't have any law yet. We don't have, and a lot of the countries here do not have any gender-based, any law regarding gender-based violence. I really thank you, and I appreciate the invitation to participate on behalf of the East African Legislative Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. I don't see any further hand, and now move over to allowing Madam Jala, the drafter of the model law, to say a few words.
Good morning, SG, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I've been taken by surprise, but I'm glad to say a few words to you all. Let me emphasize that the GBV model law is a comprehensive tool, guideline to assist member states of SADC, and I hope the rest of Africa, to develop national legislation based on the model law. They may domesticate it in accordance with their constitutional jurisdictions, but it's also a tool, as the speaker from, is it Mauritius or Mugabe? I'm not too sure, stated that they've already got a law dealing with GBV, but the model law will assist you in reviewing that law and ascertaining whether there's any gaps or contradictions with the SADC model law, GBV model law, and then fill up the gaps through an amendment process. It's a very good tool. This tool emanates from profound research based on international instruments, local instruments, and continental instruments. We've also used the UN and SADC tools and guidelines on GBV to develop the GBV model law. So it's based on profound research, and we are very confident that if the provisions of the GBV model law are applied, adapted, and adopted by member states and other African states, it will go a long way in fighting the scourge of GBV. In the model law, and I hope you've got copies of them, we have provided for a human rights-based approach in dealing with GBV. We've also provided good policy points to be included in policies and strategies and programs of member states, so that the base for a GBV model law is sound. In the model law, you'll find provisions relating profoundly to access to justice, because we believe that fundamentally, without access to justice for victims, then we won't achieve our objectives of eliminating GBV. So in that respect, we've also got provisions relating to referrals and responding to GBV cases. How do you respond effectively to a report of GBV? We have provided for protections and preventative measures so that we fight GBV on all fours. So the model law in that respect provides for a budgetary line which all member states must establish, so that all the measures and protective instruments that are required to fight GBV are actually put in place by member states. We've gone further in the model law by providing for data collection, analysis, and implementation. We further provide for advocacy by the media and other advocacy associations, and training for public officials on GBV, including judges. We want the judges to have a sensitive approach to GBV. So it is a comprehensive model law which can be adapted by any state in Africa. It will assist you come up with efficacious laws to deal with GBV. It has a lot of innovation, especially in relation to evidence gathering and principles and concepts relating to how you can convict, charge, and sentence on GBV. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And I hope I've given you just an explicit, very brief outline of what the GBV model law is intended to achieve and what the provisions, the basic provisions are in the model law. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Jala, for that outline of the broader scope of the model law and what it is going to cover and some of the issues that it's going to be geared towards addressing. Madam SG, before we go to the closing remarks, should I give you an opportunity to say a few words as the head of the SADC-PF, so that we don't have any more speeches after the closing remarks?
Actually, Rwbc, let's stick to the program, but I see the hand of the Honorable Anne-Marie for an intervention, and then we may proceed as guided by the program. Thank you for that opportunity.
Thank you, SG. Madam Chair.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup pour la parole m'accordée. Je voudrais à chaud remercier d'abord la secrétaire générale pour sa clairvoyance par rapport à la mise en œuvre de cette loi que nous voulons qu'elle soit intégrée dans tous les parlements de tous les pays de la SADC. Je voudrais également remercier Madame la rédactrice qui nous a fait le résumé du contenu de cette loi. Je pense que c'est une loi salutaire par rapport au combat que nous avons toujours mené de lutter contre les violences basées sur le genre. Et si cette loi est appliquée correctement, je pense que ça va nous permettre de réaliser les rêves, de réduire les violences donc à 0% au moins dans chaque pays membre de la SADC. Cependant, j'ai quand même une soif. Je voudrais savoir comment les consultations vont se faire dans les pays respectifs des membres de la SADC. Je prends l'exemple du Congo. Bon, comment on va vous faire parvenir, comment on va organiser ces consultations au niveau du Congo pour que ça parvienne à la commission de la SADC. Donc, l'année des parce qu'en fait, vous avez prévu que le 30 septembre, donc ça sera des parlements régionaux qui vont être consultés. Comment vont se passer ces consultations-là? Donc, je suis restée vraiment dans cette soif-là. Merci beaucoup.
Okay, Rwbc, I'll take that one. I could not escape being silent this time. Good morning, honorable members. Good morning, honorable speakers present. All protocol observed. Allow me to stand on that protocol. The consultations so far, Madam Chair, are virtual. However, at national level, if there's need to convene, taking into account the COVID protocols, we will facilitate. As you are well aware, we have researchers in some of the SADC member states. We also have partners in some of the member states through the UN and civil society organizations. Should the Democratic Republic of Congo wish to convene physically, a submission must be made, which we will consider. The drafter will also look into possibility of either traveling or being present virtually to deliver her presentations. So we do have options of meeting the countries where they would love for us to meet them. There's also an extension. We work very closely with other partners. We also have in the SRHR project provision to review what exists in countries. If, for instance, like Madagascar has indicated, they feel they have a law, they are fine with it or they are not, they may put it through for us to convene and say, where are the gaps indeed? What has progressed? Because this is a gold standard. It is not based on current circumstances of countries, but our highest gold standard is to eradicate GBV or manage or mitigate what exists currently. So we are open, honorable member. We also have researchers who can assist. We have partners, either civil society or the UN, who will be assisting us either to review your current legislation and indicate robustly what could be, the gaps. Secondly, to empower the members of parliament in those countries to engage and begin to submit motions on the particular piece of legislation at domestic level, which they feel the SADC model law could be a benchmark. I thank you, Honorable Chair. We can continue to engage offline, but for now, this is my brief explanation to your request thus far. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, we now move to the final item on the program for today. I would like to call upon Madam Rosé Ektesari from the SAF-AIDS to do the closing remarks for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ntate Modise. Madam Secretary General Sechoma and your diligent team, Honorable Aisha Adams, Deputy Speaker of Malawi, Chair Lady of the Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus, Honorable Members of Parliament, esteemed delegates, representatives of civil society, development and aid agencies, our women's rights organizations and activists, human rights defenders, our very, very dear Ma Caroline Peters, partners, friends, all protocols observed. Good morning, bonjour, bon dia. What a momentous time this is in the history of our region. that amidst the raging global COVID-19 pandemic, we have illustrated a tenacity and determination as a region by birthing the significant tool of model law on an issue of significance to all our people in the region. We know that amongst the adversities ensured by the COVID-19 pandemic, that of gender-based violence, particularly sexual gender-based violence and femicide, has been the most stark and the most painful and heart-wrenching of all impacts from the pandemic. As Honorable Aisha Adams highlighted, its upsurge continues every hour and every minute. We have been in this meeting for over an hour. At least 60 girls or young women would have been abused at some point within the continent itself. This is empirically evidenced. And these are our sisters, they're our neighbors, they're our mothers, they're our daughters, they're not just statistics. So this model law truly comes at an opportune time for us to end the epidemic of GBV and femicide, which is inhuman in the 21st century, and we have allowed to continue for way, way too long. The law is not only a landmark in the SRHR response and the human and social development of our region, but it's also a motivation and inspiration that we can, as Africans, take the necessary governance steps to address our own adversities through our own solutions and mechanisms that we own and we effect. Very few other regions have actually taken a bold step, such as the one that the SADC region under parliamentary forum and partners have taken towards the development of this model law. However, esteemed delegates and friends, this is only the first step. We can only truly pat ourselves on the back when we give life to this tool. And that life has already begun today and will be nurtured and nourished within the roadmap that has been posed earlier and has to be thereafter translated into tangible action to actually save lives, to preserve dignity and ensure the security and well-being of our people, and particularly our women and girls. I submit a massive thank you to the SADC Parliamentary Forum under the diligent leadership of our Secretary General Sehoma, partners in the technical working group who worked with the drafters and other consulted parties towards the development of the model law draft, for the perseverance that was exerted over the past 2 years, and a very, very special appreciation to the Regional Women's Parliamentary Caucus, who, as we heard, recognized the dire need to harmonize the regional response to GBV through a governance tool, and posed a motion to develop the model law, which was embraced, as we heard, at the 44th Plenary Assembly. And this catalyzed the journey that was walked through to the significant milestone that we are witnessing today. Thank you again to dear Caroline Peters, for your exemplary courage, for your passion, and for your voice of justice. May you continue to inspire, motivate, and light fires under many of us who still sit relaxed and condoning GBV as a norm. Thank you to all who've made today's event possible, those who've managed this logistics behind the scenes, Ntate Modise for steering the proceedings this morning, esteemed speakers and participants for your time and invested energies. And I'm thanking you in anticipation for your commitment towards participation and mobilization and engagement with the consultative series roadmap that we received this morning. The next and most fundamental part of this imperative journey starts today. to motivate and domesticate the operationalization of the model law, and embrace it because it is our lighthouse, it is our torch. And as Ma Eva Jala indicated, it provides distinct and clear guidance, which we can embrace with collective work to end the epidemic of GBV and femicide. May this launch and sequel consultations signify our unshaken togetherness for the spirit and text of the model law. As Honorable Mayor Tsipang Tsatse Mosena urged earlier, the real work commences now. We need the same passion and perseverance that was applied in the past 2 years in its development, and not allow any force to backtrack us. We know that there is a huge opposition against SRHR that has emerged. There is a waning recognition of upholding the dignity and rights of women and girls on the increase. And we must not allow these negative forces in any way to sway us from our resolute focus on carrying this model law through to fruition, domestication, and intangible saving lives. Our actions, our hearts and minds must remain focused as we participate in supporting our member states to swiftly re-engineer their domestic mechanisms and resources and meet the international commitments that they have expressed in ratification, such as the CEDAW, CRC, and others, to advance the human rights of women and children and protect them from abuse and violence, which they have been constitutionally mandated to do. We must also, in the consultations moving forward, leave no one behind, irrespective of creed, socioeconomic status, religious beliefs, sexual orientation, or other labeled trails. Esteemed and honorable delegates, partners, and friends, I will leave you with a reflection. And as I mentioned earlier in my appreciation, my greatest appreciation is the symbol this has on our Pan-Africanism. A rich reminder from Steve Biko, one of the African heroes that I revere, and many of you may too. He shared, the great powers of the world may have done wonders in giving the world an industrial look, but the great gift still has to come from Africa, giving the world a more human face. I hope we will be able to utilize today's launch as a springboard to motivate us to harness the spirit of Ubuntu as proud Africans who will give life and human face to the SADC GBV model law. And we will be an example to other regions. Thank you, merci, obrigada, Kialaboa inkosi, ndatenda zikomo danki, ngiyabonga asante sana. I wish you all safety, wellness, and enthusiastic engagement with the sequel consultations upcoming. Thank you, Ntate.
Thank you very much, ma'am, with those beautiful words, and what a way to close our session today. Thank you very much for the message. We've now come to the end of the session today. Just a quick reminder that the next consultation is going to be done with the Human Rights Commissioners and the ombudspersons, sorry. It's happening on Friday. Please join us then. As we continue with the rolling out the consultations with the various stakeholders on the gender-based violence model law. Thank you very much. I was hoping that before we leave, my colleagues, Ronald and Chris, would share on the screen the contact details of where we can get information regarding the gender-based violence model law. The first one is an email address that you can contact us on at GBV at SADC-PF.org. That is the email address. And if you want a copy of the model law, it is found on that website, gbv.sadcpf.org. You can find the copy of the model law and various information on the upcoming consultations. You can find it there. If you want to follow us on Facebook, there's our Facebook account and Twitter account. And then the hashtag that we use in this campaign at SADC-PF, hashtag SADC-PF hashtag SADC GBV model law, and then hashtag and GBV. Those are the areas where you can find us. Thank you very much for Pintangel, me, and the SG for giving me this opportunity to share this session today. I now declare the session closed. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you, Rwbc.
SG.
Ronald, you may terminate. Thank you.
Please kindly